Welcome to the Startup Competitors Podcast, where we talk with early-stage entrepreneurs and to understand what information they use to inform product roadmap, strategy, and market differentiation. Want regular updates on moves your competitors are making? You can learn more at startupcompetitors.com.
Hey there. Today we're chatting with Andre Harakis, who's the founder and CEO of ProBook. ProBook is the all-in-one platform for any sports team. It covers social media feed for that team, events, profiles for recruiters, nutrition, film, a bunch of other stuff that Andre shared that I can't remember while recording this intro. It was a great discussion. Really enjoyed it. Andre's background is super interesting. As an athlete who got injured and then decided to take the thing that was in his head that he could see that the market hadn't built yet and to go out and do it. Got lucky with a great relationship with an early stage angel investor who helped make that possible, has built a killer team and is making progress. At the time we recorded this, they were launching their beta. At the time that this is going live, I hope they are also going live with the product and seems like they have a really bright future in front of them. Great discussion about a pretty crowded, competitive market and how they're thinking about wedging into it and the success that they're hoping to get. Hope you enjoy it. I did as well. Thank you so much for listening. And if you like this episode, go find Andre on social media afterwards and thank him for being on the show.
Most founders start companies because they figured out a better way to solve a problem or serve a need. Not because they love tracking payroll, filling out compliance forms, and explaining employee benefits packages. And yet, all that stuff still has to be done. That's why there's Full Stack PEO. Full Stack PEO specializes in turnkey HR for emerging companies. Not just those core services, but advice and expertise that helps founders maximize employee potential. Curious? Find more at fullstackpeo.com.
Welcome to the podcast. Today we're chatting with Andre Harakis, who's the founder and CEO of ProBook. Andre, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mike.
Andre, why don't you start us off with a quick overview of ProBook?
Absolutely. So here at ProBook, we streamline team management by integrating the 5 pillars of coaching excellence into one platform. ProBook allows coaches to track and foster athlete development and team culture. So essentially where ProBook really started was whenever I was a freshman in college. I'm a senior right now at Indiana Wesleyan University. And it all started whenever I was coming in at a high school and going to the university space, especially in the football area. So I was struggling to balance, going from 12 different plays in high school to around 160 in college and having to balance all the different ambiances of being a college athlete when it comes to nutrition, management, kind of knowing where I need to be at the right time, also developing as an athlete, obviously by watching film and things of that nature. And so one day when I was really struggling, I was sitting in a Music 180 class. Obviously, I wasn't paying any attention. And I thought to myself, what if I could just centralize everything I'm doing into one area, both for my coaches and myself and my fellow athletes? So everything from film, nutrition tracking and guidance, coach to player feedback, communication and scheduling, all those different aspects that were spread out and we were using 4 or 5 different apps to get done, just brought into one space and equipped everyone to be the pro. And that's exactly what we're doing over here at ProBook.
Love it. Paint a picture of current status of the company. So you're just getting started. Did you just close your $200 million Series C round of funding? Any vanity metrics at all you can share to help folks understand where you're at?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I started this whenever I was a freshman and it really started to pick up when I was a sophomore. And now that I'm a senior, we got 6 different people on board, 3 founders that I have from Indiana Wesleyan University. One's a accounting and finance guy who really has molded into a VP of sales. Carter Dode, great guy. And then Graham Terry is our creative director and lead designer and has really spearheaded all the UI, UX, and customer touch points in regards to our marketing website and things like that. And then over the course of time, I've been going out just networking and finding, individuals a lot older than me to get that information that I needed because, I've never started a company before. And so they call themselves the Graybeards. And so Chris Yates is our product manager, interim product manager. He did work with Clear Object, Exact Target, really big in the Indianapolis software space.
Shout out to Chris Yates. Chris is awesome, man. Good
Chris
pickup.
is amazing. Doug Rammel is our COO, or a get stuff done officer, as we like to call him. He really helping us with strategic partnerships, also as an investor with ProBook. And then Gary Phillips is our chief of staff and has really kind of mentored me and kind of guided me through the different steps that we need to take. And then is actually offering up the Forward Thinking Partners studio to us as an office space as soon as I graduate. In regards to where we are funding wise, we've raised $200,000 so far. So our MVP is actually launching in a couple weeks now. We're in the process of loading on beta test customers as we speak. Our beta starts less than 24 hours from now, actually kind of right now too. It's really right when it's beginning. And in the past 2 months, we really started to do our customer outreach. And so we've done all our marketing through social media. So if you look us up at ProBook Sports on Instagram and Twitter, you'll see we have a decent following going, and we've been able to schedule a little under 100 meetings with coaches worldwide. And throughout that process, we put all these coaches in around 5 different buckets. The 1, 2, and 3 buckets. 1 was letter of intent. 2 was they want a beta test, and 3 was maybe we're a feature behind what they need. But we had 14 coaches sign LOIs, 26 coaches sign up for the beta test, and so we're equating, at the time of launch, if we can get all those guys, get into our pipeline, and close those deals. We're looking at around $50,000 in the first couple months after we launch, and a lot of coaches are really finding that we're solving a huge problem they have. So I would say in a nutshell, that's really an update of where we are.
Dude, that's a fantastic update. I love it. And you even answered one of my first questions, which is what one of my first questions was going to be, which is who you're selling to. Sounds like you're selling to the coach, not the athlete. Unpack that a little bit more. What's a ideal customer look like for you right now?
Yeah, so ideal customer for us, really the process we go through is we're gonna follow a lot of athletic directors and head coaches on social media, and then we'll follow them. We'll send them a message. And so our ideal customer are going to be those ADs and head coaches, because those are the ones that have the budgets and that sign up for these different for the software for their teams. To give an example, to dive a little bit into what they're having to do right now and kind of our competitive space, Huddle is what they're using for their video and analytics platform, and that's really that's all that Huddle really focuses on. And that's something that I grew up with when I was going in high school and college. They're kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the room. What we've done is we've offered the coaches a couple of different options. So the head coach and AD, we say, hey, you can bring in ProBook to your school as both that video and analytics piece along with the rest of the team management aspect, or if you're really satisfied with Huddle and you just want to keep them for your video, we also offer really where we can nudge up against them a team management side where the parents can get logged in. All the calendar documents coaches need to upload are all right there. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're selling that to head coaches, athletic directors. We also partnered with a recruiting company out of Kentucky. So he actually wants to centralize all of his recruiting efforts and his players' video that he has. And then one strategic partnership with celebrity endorsement by Stevie Johnson Jr., former Chargers player, San Francisco 49ers. And so he actually recently partnered with us.
Let's dive into the product a little bit. So if I'm a athlete, let's start there. What's my experience when I log into ProBook or when I interact with ProBook? What am I doing?
Yeah, so as an athlete, whenever you're interacting with ProBook, you have really what I want to call the 5 pillars of what we have within our software. So we'll start with the middle one. The middle one is the inter-team social media feed. So you're going to think of it like a Twitter feed just for your team. So every kind of highlight you want to post video-wise, any sort of like new PR, if you do a new bench press max you want the whole team to see, any kind of message you want to send out, like a word of encouragement or anything for that matter, all those different things are kind of feeding through the entire team as like that inter-team social. And whenever the athlete wants to know what kind of events he has, he just stays within the ProBook app, goes right there to his events tab, and he can see all the different events that the coach has uploaded onto for the team, for the whole team to have. He's got a personal player profile that he can send off to different recruiters that details his highlights, it shows his weights, his different nutritional things that I'll hit on in a moment, and also the awards he's accrued over his entire career at that high school or at that university. The athlete can also receive awards from coaches. So, the same way that football players get stickers on the back of their helmets, we wanted to digitalize that process and open that door up to every single area of sport where these athletes can receive awards from their coaches, because that really helps improve their engagement. It helps get them just so more dived into the program itself. All the communication in regards to other athletes and other coaches is all right there as well. And they also have a nutrition guiding and tracking system. So think of it like a MyFitnessPal, but solely for that athlete, and based on what their coach wants them to be at weight-wise, we'll ascribe them a calorie goal, a macronutrients goal, and then help them along that journey. And then the last piece, which is the final pillar, which is the film pillar, they can go in and they can watch all the different film the coach has uploaded, whether that be practice, game, or opponent tape.
And now do the same thing for the other side of that equation. If I'm a coach, when I log in, what am I doing?
Yeah, so as a coach, you're going to be doing a lot of the same things. So the inter-team feed is really a mechanism for you to guide your team. So you can post different events there, all your different awards that you're giving out to different players, post right there. You can go in and you can actually look where each player is nutritional-wise and where they are tracking on their weight goal. And then you can also upload video. You can edit that video. You can chop it up. You can share out the different highlight reels that the players create to different recruiters. Also as that communication piece in creating and making awards. So everything that these guys are doing on a day-to-day basis is now digitalized. Before it was either on paper or just with a separate app, then paper on top of it.
And so walk me through if I'm a player, my MyFitnessPal is like a great tangible thing for somebody who may not be an athlete. So they're in there every day tracking all that kind of stuff. And then they're also, I'm sure, getting updates for the social feed and things like that. So assuming it's a mobile app, they've got access to it 24/7 on their phone. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the iOS, Android, and on the web app, so I have access to all those different things. We're imagining players are going to be on here most of the day. I mean, they're going to be going on there to watch the different film from practice. They'll be on there looking at an award a coach gave them. The awards is really just to make the app more gamey and make it more interactive for the players, so where it's not just a utility app, it really kind of starts to create some sort of value. And then the nutritional piece, those throughout the day, they're hopping back on there to track their nutrition, track their water, and things like that.
Is there a third party user? Like as a team, can I invite an outside nutritionist to come and work with my players or other trainers or things like that?
Yeah, so you can invite parents. That was the big third-party user that we've incorporated. So a coach, if you want to have, maybe you're a high school level and the parents want to be in tune with your schedule and what's going on, whether maybe you changed a morning run from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. or something like that. The parents can tune in. They can have their calendar right there. They can see what's going on message-wise with their athletes and things like that to help that monitoring piece.
So when you're out in the market thinking about early customer kind of roll up or customer acquisition, how are you thinking about messaging that kind of key difference between Huddle and or other solutions that are out in the space? Because I'm sure you've already said Huddle's kind of the biggest, but I'm sure there are others. Talk to me a little bit about how you and the team are thinking about that, just in terms of messaging and how you make it clear that you guys are doing something different.
Yeah, exactly. So what we've really focused on since the beginning is just being that all-in-one platform, and that's what we really been pushing for every single team. So like you said, Huddle was definitely the 800-pound gorilla in the room, but you also have these other apps that are either specifically tailored towards a particular sport. So they don't have the film aspect, but they do different like analytics pieces for like baseball, and they also do like maybe some management and some messaging, or they do something that's kind of like that, but they do more of like for the video side. There's no one that's kind of universal. It gives you all the utilities you need, and that is just going to be able to take that weight off your shoulders, especially for these smaller schools. So with Huddle being that 800-pound gorilla in the room, each year their prices are going up about $200 for each subscription level. And so they're really straining these coaches because, I mean, since Huddle is one of the only players out there offering that film share and film ability, we come in there saying, hey, you're going to be able to come over to us. You're going to get the white glove treatment. And you're also going to be able to pay less and get the video along with all these other features that you're going to be needing as a coach. And so that's what we've been communicating with them. We have quite a few coaches already signed up to be customer ambassadors. We'll be in a brand new JUCO. It's actually interesting. There's a new JUCO basketball program starting for an online school. And the coach thought that the nutrition piece and how he can keep his athletes connected from afar was just going to be perfect for him. So it was kind of serendipitous that we reached out to him at the same time that he was in need of that. So he's going to be signing up both his football and basketball team on ProBook here in a couple weeks.
Tell me about ProBook swag. What are my options if I'm either an employee or a customer, or maybe I'll let you talk. What do you do with your swag?
Yeah, so we're going to be offering a whole merchandise line that's going to be with Stevie Johnson Jr. Really kind of obviously he has that celebrity piece to him. So we've already got some custom sneakers coming out, custom ProBook cleats. And we're also going to be doing, every piece of gear you could probably imagine we want to be coming out with, because at the end of the day, athletes are the ones that wear everything, right? So we're going to be excited to get some really sick ProBook gear out there.
I love it. And then from a promotional perspective, when you think of leveraging swag in the sales cycle, what are you guys thinking there?
Absolutely. So we want to be able to, the different teams that we bring on board, we want to give them a really cheap option to have their whole team have a really cool, like, either armbands, or have them have like really neat leggings that are according to their color, but like a ProBook logos on it, and really start to hone in on getting all these different sports teams to wear ProBook gear, because we're a sports company. We want that not only be on their phones, we also want to be on their person, and we want to be interacting with them in any way we can. So that's kind of the place we're going to go. There are different customers offering them discounts, and then offering them potentially even doing jerseys down the line. That would be super neat to do. So,
all right, right on. If you need your own custom apparel, you can find it at Fuel Merchandise Group, which is at fuelmerchandise.com. And you mentioned startup competitors, you'll get 10% off your first order.
Absolutely. That sounds great. We'll definitely go check them out.
Talk a little bit about product roadmap and kind of what you see coming out over the next 6, 12, 24 months that you think continues to help you differentiate in the space?
Absolutely. So the way we've really ironed it out, we do all our product road mapping through AHA software. Would really highly recommend it. It gives you a chance to really hone in on your vision, and then it makes sure that your different features are coming out with really align with that. And what we've done throughout our different client calls, like I said, we had around 76. We put those all into a Google form and took really detailed notes on each meeting. And unanimously, the one thing that's kind of holding us back from actually displacing Huddle, with the schools that really love Huddle and not the ones that are willing to switch over already, is that there's 3 or 4 different features that we're going to want to offer through the film and analytics side of ProBook that are going to give us that leg up to get in a lot of these high schools and lower level universities. So in the next 6 months, that's exactly what we'll be coming out with. And then the next 12 months, we're going to be focusing on our freemium model. So right now, our product that's coming out in literally a couple weeks from now, super excited about that, is really aimed towards organized sports markets, whether that be high school, university, Division III, Division II, NAIA, not necessarily the Division I level, just because a lot of those guys have custom software. But we want to go into the club space, and so we want to be offering a platform where you can actually upload your film. In the club space, Huddle offers a club package, but a lot of people don't typically subscribe to them. They usually use TeamSnap for communication and scheduling, and that's mostly with the parents. We want to offer a strategic advantage with the video aspect incorporated with the rest of the platform that's free to download. Obviously, offering advertisements, user-friendly advertisements to generate some more revenue. So.
How big is this market overall? And I'm interested in that in 2 ways. One is, you're going to go out there and sell every athletic director in the country. How many are there? What does that look like from a potential revenue perspective? And then I think the other side of that question is, how many other sports books are there that are also going after that market in huddles and whatnot? And I know you're the only one you're one of the only ones that's maybe an all-in-one solution, but in mindshare, right, that athletic director is getting hit by all those companies at the same time. So you're all kind of competing for a part of that mindshare. Can you riff on those for a couple minutes?
Yeah, for sure. So in regards to our total addressable market, our serviceable market, as soon as we come out, so there's around 1.3 million different sports teams, both in the U.S. and Canada, and based on our pricing model, that's going to equate to around $1.3 billion market as soon as we launch. And then worldwide, it's looking around a $79 billion market when it comes to all the different sports teams, organized sports teams, the different levels of sport. And whenever we're reaching out to different ADs, they're not really getting approached with a lot of the all-in-one platform. Typically they're going to be getting approached with maybe a Teamworks that's more focused on the communication and scheduling aspect, or they're going to be getting obviously hit with Huddle, who's going to give them that film and analytics piece. But there hasn't been a lot of calls that we've had, if any, actually, where these guys have already been hit with another company saying, "Hey, we want to offer your teams everything they're going to need." And so one thing that we need to make sure of is that if that trend continues to stay true, right? They're not getting as hit with as many different competitors as they don't have as many guys like us coming up to them. We need to make sure that we're continuing to build that relationship and continuing to offer features that really set us apart, culture, in a communicative way. So as a community, because whenever you have community, then it's really hard to displace you. Not a feature is not going to get you out the door, but it's actually the relationship that you built with these coaches. And so that's what we're really focusing on. That customer service piece is going to be crucial, especially in the sports market where it's all about networking. It's all about who you know.
If I'm an athlete, can I be on multiple teams? Can I be on the football team and the basketball team if they're both using ProBook?
Yeah, absolutely. You can.
Right on. And if I'm assuming that also my profile goes with me over time. So if I start, in junior high on a team and then play in high school, then play in college, I take the same profile with me all the way through.
Yeah, you're taking your profile with you, and you're going to bring your highlights along with you too. The different highlight reels you've created over time are going to attach to your profile, and that's something that that's on our roadmap to integrate in the next few months. Since this is the first year, we know that kids won't be making that transition yet, so we have a little bit of time to start.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that yet.
Yeah,
So I guess talk a little bit about what you see as some of the challenges in going to market. Where as you think of the team in the next 6 months, doing beta right now, you're going to be launching here soon. Where are you guys going to get tripped up, and what are you and the team doing to kind of protect against that?
absolutely. So the big thing for us was really identifying a solid sales channel that was going to make sense and also kind of stay in tune with our mission. Just a little background about myself. I'm from the east side of Indianapolis, was raised by my grandparents, and I really understand that the benefit and value that ProBook can bring to like lower income communities that don't necessarily have access to all these really high tier things like the nutrition and guidance and tracking and things like that. So we want to start putting on ProBook camps, ProBook coaching clinics, and ProBook tournaments. This is going to do a couple things for us. One, we can invite entire teams to these camps that we host at either a football field, a baseball field, or a basketball court. And we can bring them in. And while the athletes are training, we can also do a coaching clinic where the coaches can come in. We have a coach that's pretty respected in the area, kind of speak to how to build team culture. And of course, everywhere on the walls is ProBook, and we have a little time to talk to these coaches about what we're doing. Camps are huge, especially for the organized sports market. So we really want to hit that hard and really start to build that community, like I mentioned before. And then we also want to do the tournament. So a lot of coaches will actually pay to be a part of a tournament, especially if it's like if you have a lot of your kind of rivals from the area there. And so we also want to use our marketing pieces as a way to actually generate revenue and not necessarily be constantly burning through cash. So we're going to do tournaments where coaches actually buy into the tournament. We put on, obviously we have the different snacks and different things like that. And then using our celebrity endorsement with Stevie Johnson Jr., maybe have him at one of those in California to really kind of attract a pretty decent crowd and different NFL players he's connected with. That's something we're actually coordinating right now.
And then talk to me a little bit about when you think of other emerging technologies, have you and the team done any sort of brainstorming around what could be exciting down the road? And this is like not in any sort of like, shouldn't even be on a product roadmap yet at your stage, but like wearables, augmented reality, like where have when you guys think really big and 5-7 years out, what are some of the things that have you excited? And I'm particularly interested in this, not just from a kind of product market fit perspective, but just I know athletics is one of the places where early technology hits sooner than it hits on the consumer side. So I'm also just interested to see what is out there and kind of what you guys have been thinking about.
Absolutely. So we're also partnering with Bavard AI, which is a brand new kind of artificial intelligence company that's kind of doing our FAQs. It's really a chat bot. But we've had a lot of conversations around them where their end goal is to make Bavard be an entire employee that's automated. And it would be really interesting to see if you could just take that bot and have it watch the different film and then be able to categorize that film and just really to be a real coach's aid in a really like intuitive way. And that's something that's like down the road would be extremely valuable to these guys, especially because a lot of these coaches are spending time, most of them are teachers and most of them have full-time jobs, and they do this because they love the sport. They want to be able to help out their kids and help out their athletes, and they offering some sort of interactive artificial intelligence that can really help them organize their video and help them with like strategy and things like that could be really, really interesting. So
it also, yeah, I mean, you'd see that same AI sitting on top of nutrition as well, right? With real-time kind of recommendations and coaching there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's some really exciting things coming down the pipeline. Obviously, like you said, we're more focused on getting MVP out, getting V1 complete. But, I mean, not too far afterwards, that's something that we're really going to be investigating and figuring out. So,
you've been at this for 3 years. Is that right?
I thought of the idea when I was a freshman. I was still playing football at the time. I unfortunately tore my ACL, so I had to stop playing. That was around a year and a half ago. And that's really actually when I changed my major to entrepreneurship and, was starting to do the 5 a.m.s with Carter Doe to start getting this thing built out. So I would say about a year and a half truly is how long we've been at it.
What's been the biggest challenge in that year and a half?
Of course, initially it's always the funding piece, right? I mean, you have an idea, you're a college kid, you don't have a ton of experience, but you have vision, you have passion. And so fortunately, had an angel investor come in and close half our raise based purely on just the energy and just a belief in us as who we were. And that's something that we really valued and took that to heart, and obviously have, done everything we can to push ProBook to where it is today. And then past the funding piece is really understanding that strategic angle we need to take with these coaches in regards to huddle. You have to always take into account your biggest competitor and know what they're doing really well and know how you either nudge up against them or you can actually displace them. And what we found was that there's huddles in most schools, but they're not in every single different sports program because it's just too expensive. So if we can get down into the boys and girls soccer team who doesn't have huddle, but the football team does have huddle, they still have budgets as well. And so that's where we've been able to find our footprint is not focusing necessarily maybe on the biggest sports, but there's still other sports, quite a few sports that the kids are still playing and the coaches still are passionate about.
How are you thinking of as an all-in-one platform? I suspect there are other solutions, and Huddle is one that's come a couple of times, but there must be others, right? Like, how are you thinking of integration versus building out your own competitive feature? And that some of the different tools that come to mind, and in the software world, like the big one in this space to point to would be like a QuickBooks, which has a QuickBooks marketplace, with where you can get a bunch of third-party features that solve problems that QuickBooks hasn't solved from a product roadmap perspective, or Jira, which same thing. There's a Jira marketplace where you can integrate a bunch of third-party things. It's a little bit of a strategy question, right? Like in terms of how much do you become the central platform versus you build out those features and just not need the integration. Have you and the team talked about that? And I'd love to hear your thoughts.
For sure. So that's something that actually was a huge talking point for quite a while. And Gary Phillips was the guy who really helped us along that path. And so we really started to think of the word platform. And we wanted that to really start to kind of stick into who we were and how we kind of saw our roadmap in regards to partnerships and things like that. So at ProBook, we've really kind of laid out a nice foundation, very universal platform. It's the different, integral parts of being either an athlete or being a coach are a part of it. But there's a few parts that aren't, that we want to make strategic partnerships with and really offer discounts to these different services. For example, Blueprint Stats is another a statistics company out of IU that we've been working on a partnership for a while, and they do just a la carte statistic breakdowns for different individuals' film. It would be great to have a way where ProBook could you could upload your film directly from ProBook to Blueprint Stats. They make a little off the top, we do too, and then we immediately offer that whole statistics platform without actually having to build it out, and then kind of venturing that into the video space as well with VO, who is another video company, and they sell really camera hardware that automatically records the games, and making a partnership with them where we can offer automatic recording of ProBook without actually having to build it out. And then that you can just see how that just continues to kind of go down that wormhole of finding different aspects of ProBook that can really enhance it, that we don't necessarily have to build out, because other companies could use the other aspects of what we do to help their platform. And so identifying those strategic partners like Blueprint Stats and VO has been a big part of what we've been doing for the past few months.
From a growth perspective, do you plan on raising funds again here in the near future?
Yeah, so that's something that we have a plan for another raise should we need it. But we've actually had quite a bit of early market traction where a lot of different coaches have been interested and committed to purchasing even our highest package and purchasing multiple different packages. We would like to be self-funded if possible, but if we do another raise, it would solely be to gain market share, and it would solely be to do either a big integration or to do kind of a national or international outreach to Canada and United States. So it's sort of in the air. We're going to really be able to understand that in about 4 months from now. I have a conversation with me in 4 months. I'll have a solid answer for you. But we do have an idea for a raise. But right now, we're just kind of going to see, how big can we get off what we have? And then if we really want to make a big leap and we have a plan for that big leap, then we'll go out and raise that money.
I think you're thinking of the next 4 months appropriately. It sounds like you know what's about to happen. So it's good. Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. If folks want to learn more about ProBook or want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Absolutely. So you can look up ProBooksport.com with no S at the end, just to put a caveat there. And then also you can reach me at ProBookteam@gmail.com. And then anything else, I won't give out my number. But
all right, sounds good. Andre, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Mike, this is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Startup Competitors provides monthly handcrafted email updates on your top competitors. Keep up to date on new hires, marketing activities, events, awards, new product launches, pricing changes, funding, and a bunch more. Learn more at startupcompetitors.com.